All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Politics Podcast. Let's get that language straight, John. For Thursday, March 7th, 2025. Wow. Ash Wednesday is come and gone. We are already on the precipice of Easter. 40 days, 39 actually, and we'll be at Easter. I used to be a Catholic, and I guess in theory I still am, but never understood that, if you were a vegetarian or you liked fish, man, Lent was for you. On Fridays and Wednesdays, you couldn't eat meat, but boy, you could just gobble up that fish. And I was thinking, man, I really got shortchanged here. I don't like fish. I got that Nemo thing going on. Fish are our friends, not food, right? Oh my gosh, I really got the short end of that Catholic thing. No wonder I left the religion. All right. If you could, I'm your host, John. And if you could, kindly, please hit the subscribe and like button. I'd appreciate your patronage. And if you're really risque today, go ahead and leave a comment. Now that I'm a tech bro, I can answer them. Yeah. It's only taken super producer Stacy 3 or 4 times to show me how to do it. But it's a couple days after the State of the Union address. I really haven't been able to sleep. I keep having these nightmares about this rambling orange blob talking in incoherent lies. And then I wake up and go, oh my God, it really happened. And I got 3 more, assuming he lives that long, right? Like, wow. Where do you start? I mean, the Social Security stuff was just obscene, right? It was just crazy. I do have some parenting advice for you. If you have kids and they're acting out of sorts, threaten them with having to watch that hour and 40-minute montage of just insanity. That will straighten them up. And on the other side, if it doesn't and they actually enjoy it, well, maybe they were switched at the hospital. I don't know. Who knows what that all is, right? Let me start out. I'm going to tell a little story here today. And I know that this is the last thing that she wants because she is so humble. But it's super producer Stacy. Today is our 50th episode of the political podcast. And, it was a couple months ago I came up with this idea, but I didn't have the technical expertise to actually launch this podcast. I did something a long time ago, wasn't really similar. I was, there's a backstory that goes with that. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to bore you with all the other stuff today. No, but Stacy, she is literally as talented as anybody I've ever met in any walk of life. And she is resolute and she is just dogged when she wants to learn something. And I said, hey, let's just figure this out together. And, God bless her. She tries to walk me back on, I don't know. I'm not the technical person. Stacy thinks she has to be Bill Gates. And that wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for someone who would go on the journey with me. And she did. And she's always been very, very kind and very generous. And there's been a lot of times where, let's put it like this. I started out this podcast, I had a Samsung. It might as well be this, right? And, she gently persuaded me to go to the iPhone, and it was a really astute move, and I give her all the credit. And now, yesterday we met in Starbucks, and we're trying to when I say we, this is Stacy, right? It's kind of like when you're doing something and you're with somebody and you're like, hey, we're going to do something, and then they just watch you do it. I am watching Stacy trying to figure out how we're going to be able to do the split screen for this political podcast when I have people I interview, which I'm really itching to do, and also the sports show where I got a couple of my friends who are we're gonna slice and dice the world of sports. But so we're in Starbucks, and Stacy's been under the weather a little for the last week. And, obviously it's a serious thing, right? But I'm more worried about the rogue squirrels who may starve to death, who didn't save all those organic nuts that she's been feeding them every day on her daily walks. But I'm sure Stacy somehow made it out, even in her decimated condition, to actually put a little, storage unit of nuts for the squirrels. To be a squirrel in Stacy's neighborhood, right? You'd be like me. You'd have a big belly, and you just have a lot of fun. So we're in Starbucks, and I am literally just drinking my water. Not a thing to do. I'm looking at stuff. She has literally got my phone. She's got her phone. This girl is multitasking. I mean, she is way multitasking. Me multitasking is breathing and walking simultaneously. This girl, I mean, it's literally like, let's see 5 or 6 different things going on. And she's working on it. And then we come to the Rubicon, okay? And that's where she says, oh boy, I don't know. I don't know why FaceTime isn't doing X, Y, Z. And I'm trying to look at her like I have any clue what she's saying, and I'm nodding. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds, yeah, oh yeah, I'm here. Yeah, oh, I don't know. I'm flummoxed too. I'm flummoxed, all the time. I don't even know what Bitcoin is, right? So then she really goes for it. And I'm like, oh no. Now, give you a little background on me. I used to box. Okay, I was in commercial construction for 30 plus years. Okay, I've worked in the hood. I've worked in really, really bad places. I've worked in South Central LA. I've worked in housing projects. I've worked in really scary places. I've worked in places where you had to have a police escort going into the job site and coming out, right? I've walked in Vegas on the Strip in bad areas. Don't go by the Stratosphere after 2 a.m. I've walked around there, not a fear in the world. Doesn't even bother me. Like, I shot a video in a place in Vegas that was a little sketchy, and literally while I'm shooting the video, 4 guys walk through the parking lot, and they're kind of sketchy. I don't know, I don't know if they're coming from a club or they're homeless. I really can't tell what the difference is in the wear. And I'm watching them come at me. Now, do I peel off and get in my car and say, F this? No, I'm just watching them come up to me. And then they walk by, I go, hey, and they go, hey. That's guy code, right? For please don't kill me, right? So they walk by, and then it dawns on me. I'm thinking, if all 4 of them wanted to attack me, I'm not going to be able to fend them off, even though I could box or, whatever. I'm not Jason Bourne, right? So I'm getting my train of thought lost. You know what? I need to get hydrated here. Hold on with me a second. So we're in Starbucks, and Stacy reaches this moment, and I'm just telling her, hey, we can deal with this tomorrow. And we can deal it. She goes, no, we got to fix it now. I'm like, oh no, this doesn't sound good for John. So she gets up. We're in a Starbucks. And she walks over to 2 ladies in the corner and goes, hey, can you help me with this FaceTime thing on iPhone? I'm telling you right now, they're over there, and I can hear the afterthoughts or the whispers of what they're talking about. They're talking about Snapchat, and maybe that's Instagram. And I'm hearing somebody say, I saw that on 90 Day Fiance, and I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? They might as well be talking alien technology, okay? To give you a better sense of where I am, have you ever watched the Jason Bourne movies? Okay, there's 4 of them. I'm not going to do the Jeremy Renner one. That was terrible. But it's, the 5th one. Okay, there's always got to be a bad one. And, basically it's, if you haven't seen it, it's the premises. premise is Jason Bourne gets amnesia. He was a former agent for the agency, CIA, NSA, whatever. And he was the baddest of the bad, right? He gets amnesia. He goes off the reservation. Now they're trying to kill him. And it's literally him against all these evil government entities. And, he literally can kill 4 guys by himself. And, he breaks into CIA headquarters to get documents to send to the New York Times and, just stuff like that, right? Guy's incredible. And that's the allure of it, that it's just one man against literally the entire government. And somehow he always comes out on top because he's so smart. But my favorite scene is he's in Waterloo Station and they're coming to find him. And I'm not going to go into all the stuff. But the amazing thing to me, out of 7 hours of movies, was he goes into Waterloo Station and he goes to a cell phone guy. And he buys a prepaid phone, and literally in 5 minutes, he figures it out. And I'm like, wow, out of all his skills, that's the one I admire the most. Forget that he can kill people with a pencil or a paperclip. No, I'm amazed that he can figure out a cell phone in 5 minutes. Well, okay. So Stacy comes back, and, she makes some headway, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel bad. I'm going to cause her to have a stroke. So we part ways. She goes off. She's got a birthday and things like that. And, we're coming closer. I guess it's really hard for me to really put it into words. And I know it's probably the last time I'm going to be able to do this because I'm going to get lambasted and scolded tomorrow for it. But I just want to say thank you, Stacy, for all you're doing. This podcast would not exist without you. You're a great friend. You're a beautiful human being, and I hope we conquer the world together. Okay. All right. So now we're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. Let's get up and running and figure out what we got to just get angry. One thing about Stacy, though, when I'm around her, she's so kind and so sweet. It takes some of my anger away. I need a little buffer after I've been around her so I can get pissed off again, okay? I'm getting pissed off. It's raining here in Southern California. I've been fixing stuff around the house. Yeah, let's get going. All right. So we're going to talk about Trump and the State of the Union again. He declared that executives were so excited about the prospects of his new tariffs that he was going to launch this week. But the truth was maybe a tad bit different. Early Tuesday, it seems like he had conversations with the executives of Ford, GM, and Stellantis, and the 25% tariffs that he was going to impose on Canada and Mexico they told him would cause a huge disadvantage for American automakers versus foreign automakers. Now, they appealed to Trump for a reprieve, and they got it. He gave them 1 month. Now, at some point, how long can this dude keep crying wolf? He threatens tariffs. They're a big thing. They're a serious thing. But at some point, doesn't somebody just put up the middle finger and go, F you? Okay, let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what you want. Because at the end of the day, Trump doesn't care about America. All he cares about is his own vanity, his own exposure of what's going on, right? The stock market tanking this week, losing over 1,000 points, also helped delay the tariffs because he does care what the stock market does. The tariffs, look, we're in a free trade world. I mean, we could sit here. And I understand the argument of I want to make stuff in America, but when you go to the dollar store, of course, if you go to the dollar store, everything's $1.25, which I still don't understand. Would you rather pay $2.50 so it's made in America? Straight up. And then the truth is no. I mean, why do people nowadays go to low cost alternatives for grocery stores, department stores, whatever you want to call it, because they're on budgets. And, their money, they have to make it go farther. If you double the price of things or increase them by 25%, people are going to go without. I mean, it's one of the things that you see about people on Social Security. They talk about the lament of, do I pay my rent or do I buy my drugs to keep myself alive? Well, wow. I'm glad we're in that country, right? But getting back to Trump and the State of the Union, he talked a big game. He said, if you don't make your product in America, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. All right. He's got the hard on for the tariffs, okay? Now, CNN reported that Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau has been trying to talk to Trump for a week to work out this tariff issue, but Trump won't take his calls. Okay. All right, we got that. Now, Trump says the reason he's putting the tariffs on the Canadian people, on the country, is because of the quote-unquote fentanyl coming down from the northern country, right? Now, the DEA says less than 0.5 of 1% of fentanyl comes south from Canada. So, really, is that an issue? I got a funny feeling there's more fentanyl being made in labs in Los Angeles than there is in Canada. But I don't have any facts on that, so I'm not going to go there. But the White House officials, and then this gets into the ego part, have been angry at Prime Minister Trudeau for the last couple of days because on Tuesday, when Trump announced the tariffs, he, in his press conference to respond, called President Trump Donald. Okay, maybe you can hear me. Maybe you can't, but I'm going to be very crisp with my words. That's a new one. I'm not going to be butchering Kiev here. Fat Donnie. Okay, I'm going to call him Fat Donnie. Maybe, you know what? For the rest of this podcast, I'm going to call him Fat Donnie. Okay? The weight I lost, he put on. Well, I'm not sure I lost any weight, but let's just live in that little pseudo world, right? I did see a very interesting thing by a Canadian podcast today. And these are two people. One was an economist and one was a manufacturing businessman. And they both were theorizing. Well, here's what they said, and I hadn't heard this, that Donald Trump wants to break the Canadian economy. That is what the Canadian people feel. I don't know if you saw that hockey game a couple weeks ago in Montreal where Team USA played Team Canada, and the Canadian people, which are usually the most gracious people in the world, booed the American anthem. And the underlying sentiment that nobody really, they say, talks about in Canada is they feel like Trump is trying to break their economy so he can make them the 51st state. Now, I hadn't even heard that. I was like, whoa. But at some point, you can make people capitulate because of economics. It's one of those reasons I hooked on the boulevard for 3 years. But hey, that's another podcast for another day. Okay, hey, don't judge. Don't judge, you arrogant mofo. All right. So the leader of Canada's Conservative Party, who typically has aligned with Trump, Pierre Poilievre, and I know I'm butchering that name. That ain't no Kiev. Said Tuesday, Trump stabbed America's best friend in the back. All right. I want to bring you back to a Truth Social post by Trump 3 days before the election last November. He said, if Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. If I win, you are going to have the best jobs, biggest paychecks, and the brightest economy in the world. The stock market's lost over 1,000 points this week. Anywhere between 60 and 90,000 federal workers have been laid off. What do you think they think the economy? You think that they think that's the best economy in the world? Yeah, maybe not so much, right? It's like a friend once told me. They said, when your neighbor loses a job, it's a recession. When you lose your job, it's a depression. Amen, brother. Amen. All right, we're going to go off to some more odd things in the news. Trump administration plans to cut even more than 70,000 more jobs at the Veterans Administration. You're going to like this story. In a March 4th memo from the White House addressed to undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, and other key officials. Hey, did you ever see that movie, The Secretary? Oh, sorry. The DOGE target is to get staffing down to a 2019 era level, and that means that 70,000 jobs will be cut. Now, before you all start running around the reservation saying, well, you know, that Biden, he bloated the government, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's look a little deeper into what that actually is. The VA has grown significantly under the Biden administration, especially to help implement the PACT Act that Biden passed in 2020. He spearheaded it and passed it. God, Joe, we miss you more every day. To help expand coverage of eligibility to millions of veterans who were exposed to toxins and hazards like burn pits while serving abroad. Okay? So because you know what? I care about you. I do. I'm a selfless warrior, okay? I looked up what is a burn pit. What the hell is that thing, right? So basically a burn pit is when they're in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Africa. Don't think we don't have troops over there. Gaza, pretty soon, right? Is an open air area where the military burns waste, including trash, chemicals, and sometimes human remains, because sometimes you got to get rid of the body you just killed, right? So, you know, there you go. What's happened is the military basically takes over an area. Well, it's not like they call Burtech and say, hey, get this garbage out. They incinerate it right there. Let's just put gasoline on it. Let's burn it all. Well, these soldiers who are around these burn pits were exposed to a lot of toxic chemicals. I mean, think about it. Have you ever been in a bonfire and you get too close to the fire and you get a whiff or whatever of the inhalants and it kind of like throws you woozy? Can you imagine? Some of these burn pits went for 5 straight years. 5 straight years. That's the ones they acknowledge. Think about it. Can you imagine the gunnies or the plebes who are, you know, the low level and all their job is to keep the fire burning, put stuff in there and never leave? Like, wow. Well, Joe Biden tried to help them. You know, a lot of these guys get cancer. They get other respiratory illnesses. Joe, once again, steps up, tries to help Americans. Of course, the military, you know, somewhere about 75-25 voted for Trump. I wonder how they're feeling now. They're going to lose 70,000 people who helped them, who did help them. Just please, you just want to cry. You just want to cry. But sometimes you get what you vote for, military people. Like I said, 4 years when I'm running for president, first day in, I'm just going to cut the funding to the military. I'll balance the budget right then. They can go kiss my butt. That's what I say. Okay, some more odd things in the news. Trump, he's on a roll this week, announced on Truth Social that his administration would cut off federal funding to colleges that allow illegal protest. Now, this is basically about the Palestinians and the Muslims who are protesting what's going on in Gaza, right? Obviously, Trump has forgot about the First Amendment. You know, I saw something very interesting that was talking about MAGA, and they were saying, and it's so true, they said they want the protections of the Constitution, but they don't want to be governed by it. So when Trump says all his crazy stuff, you know, that's cool. But if some kid on a college campus says that Israel is murdering innocent women and children, well, we can't do that, right? So Trump went on, he added a little bonus because he always does. He said agitators will be imprisoned and or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, protesting's a crime now? Arrested, no mask. Hey, wasn't that your policy during COVID? You know, I mean, hello? You didn't want people wearing masks then. And the only difference then is they weren't getting arrested. They just died, right? And Fat Donnie is the same guy who pardoned the 1,600 people who were convicted on January 6th. But he's telling you, if you have a lawful protest saying whatever they're saying, but for the most part, it's about Israel's treatment of the Gazan people, which I think most respectable human beings says go way over the line. I mean, the other day they stopped more food aid because, hey, they just don't like Hamas. Hey, let's just let another 500,000 innocent people starve a little, right? Hey, who needs Jenny Craig when you got Israel imposing their will, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. We're going to probably go to our last story of the news today. It hurts my heart. It does. There's a lot of things that hurt my heart. I got 4 years of this. You better stick with me. Don't leave. I want some comments, too. You're going to get my rapier wit if I actually had one. Actually, when I want a witty comment, I go, Stacy, what should I say here? And she tells me. Donald Trump has ordered the cutting of huge swaths of America's forest for timber because he says our importing timber is leaving us economically and nationally vulnerable to other countries. I didn't know if we didn't get a 2x4 from Canada that our economic and national security was going to be in peril, but okay. I learn a lot from this guy. I know not everything he says is true. So Trump in an executive order, and he's been writing so many executive orders. I hope he gets carpal tunnel because I know he can't read that many. Has demanded expansion in tree cutting across America to up to 280 million acres of now off-limits forest. This just in, and I'm sure you already knew. I don't have the gentleman's name, but he was the head of a lumber company. He is now the head of the EPA and the Forest Service. Yeah. I'm sure he's going to really protect America's trees. Trump claims that the heavy-handed federal policies have made America reliant on foreign imports of timber. Couldn't be the fact they're probably cheaper. Also in this, old-growth forests are able to be cut down. Now, old-growth forests, I believe, are forests that have been around over 150 years. And because of the depth, the root depth. Okay, I'm back at Kyiv. I'm back there. They absorb more carbon dioxide and they're much better for climate change. Okay, but forget that. That doesn't exist anymore. We got a 4-year reprieve from climate change, right? This move is eerily similar to orders by Trump to use a rarely used committee to push through fossil fuel projects. Oh, you're going to love this one. Get the knife away from your throat. Through fossil fuel projects, even if they imperil endangered species. Yeah. Many scientists have said that the aggressively cutting forest, especially established ones, and fire-resistant trees, which are trees over, I believe, 75 years that have a deeper root system, actually increases the speed of fast-moving fires. Now, I looked into that, and here exactly was what's going on. Have you ever seen a logging truck? And you look, and it's basically just the trunks of huge trees, 25, 50 feet, whatever. But it's just the trunk, right? So what happens is, and I watched a video on this, because I care. I want you to be the best informed audience in the world, is they cut off all the branches and they leave them there. It's not like they take them to the dumpster and they put them in a wood chipper. Oh, no. We cut the tree. We cut all off the branches. We let them there, and then we get the crane and put it on the truck, and we're on to the next one. Okay, so what do you think happens to the forest when you got all these dry tree limbs just laying on the forest floor? Did I hear the word fuel? Yeah, you sure as F did. Yeah. Why don't we just put some more kerosene on there, right? And I thought Trump was saying we had to clean up the forest floor. Well, logging doesn't do that. Logging is not logging is a necessary part of our economy, but they need to be more responsible environmentally. Okay? We put regulations. Well, it's easy for Trump just to break all the regulations, go, we're going to increase lumber. Okay, that's fine. Until your house gets wiped out by the fire because there's so much fuel they can't stop it. Like those brave firefighters who were in Los Angeles in January. They're looking at walls of 120 feet of fire. Good luck stopping that. Hey, think it's time for my break. You go ahead and take care of that, Hal. All right. I had enough today, but I want to make a big shout out to all you. Thank you. I love sharing this with you. I appreciate you listening. It means a lot to me. Don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because we shared it together. And we will see you tomorrow. Please, if you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Leave some comments. And I will see you tomorrow.